Episode 13. When the smoke cleared, Kael's laughter echoed through the air as he emerged unscathed and without a single scratch. A summer breeze, he mocked, while Cesar and Bruno were already covered in sweat, realizing that the battle as it stood would not last long. They split up to attack in unison, trying to catch the S-class monster off guard. Cesar launched a frontal charge, his fists burning with concentrated fury. Simultaneously, Bruno vanished in a gust of wind, seeking a position to flank Kael and strike him from behind. Their movements were a deadly dance of coordination, a final gamble to find a crack in the defense of their formidable opponent. Orion Manor had become an epic battlefield, a whirlwind of unleashed auras and elements. Balthazar, the leader of the Lightning Guild, moved like a thunderbolt, leading the counterattack of the guilds. His attacks were a fury of nature. "Striking bolt," he shouted, and powerful electrical discharges hit the Moon executives with devastating force. His S-class power was the backbone of the offensive. At his side, Diana focused on defense and support. She raised walls of crystal-clear water and dynamic shields. "Twin water wall," she exclaimed, and the aquatic barriers repelled enemy projectiles while mitigating the advance of Kael's black flames that seeped through the entrance. In a more sheltered area, an adapter from the Lotus Flower Guild, let's call her Katie, activated her aura. A pale green light expanded, causing a regeneration field to sprout, a carpet of iridescent flowers with medicinal properties that offered a rapid healing area for the wounded. The adapters from the Dawn and Lotus Flower, along with Adrian and Diana, rotated between carrying the fallen to this zone and reinforcing the lines. In the midst of this coordinated chaos, Adrian's mind was elsewhere. He wondered obsessively, "Where is Augusto? I haven't seen him since we split up." His concern extended to the critical battle on the flank. Cesar and Bruno had been able to contain Kael, but he knew it wouldn't be for long. In that moment of distraction, Diana saw Adrian's guard relax dangerously. "Adrian, watch out!" she screamed. An enemy fire attack whizzed by, hitting him in the leg. It wasn't serious, but the pain made him gasp, a sting that forced him back to reality. "Thanks," he told Diana, his face hardening as he promised himself not to get distracted again. Inside the manor, in the control area, Augusto Orion directed his people with the calm of a strategist. "Take Lily to rest," he ordered. "Have 2 Class A adapters stay with her until she recovers." Augusto knew the risk. The total consciousness connection drains aura too quickly, and Lily needed time to recover. "Now," he said, his voice resonating with newfound determination, "it is time to act." A pure white aura began to emit from his body, a glow that intensified rapidly. Augusto ascended, bursting through the roof of the manor with an explosion of controlled energy. Once outside, his aura increased until it became a light so bright it looked like a second sun in the night sky, immediately drawing everyone's attention on the battlefield. "Moon faction, this is as far as you go," Augusto proclaimed, his voice amplified by his aura. Then he unleashed his attack, paralyzing flash. A wave of pure light expanded, striking the Moon executives. The light wave hit the Class B adapters with enough force to paralyze them, leaving them rigid and unable to move. The Class A executives and Kael, however, were not affected by the full effect, but the distraction and power were undeniable. Kael, seeing the source of the light, roared in rage, "There you are. Come down here, you flying lamp." Immediately, he launched the same black fire attack that had destroyed the manor's perimeter wall. Augusto watched the torrent of dark flames coming toward him. Unfazed, he invoked a defensive move, Aurora Shield. A barrier of concentrated light materialized, stopping Kael's attack with an explosion of energy and proving, beyond a doubt, that he too was an S-class adapter. Seeing that Augusto Orion had effortlessly stopped Kael's dreaded attack, a wave of jubilation swept through the guild forces. Morale skyrocketed, as they were convinced their leader would finally put an end to the Moon faction's madness. However, Balthazar from the Lightning Guild did not share the general euphoria. "Why do you have to interfere when I was having fun, Augusto?" he bellowed, annoyed by the interruption of his own battle. Lyra, the master of the Lotus Flower Guild, simply smiled, being more practical. She directed her group to focus their auras on defense and supporting the wounded. The offensive was now covered by the S-class. Below, Cesar and Bruno, though exhausted, saw Kael's distraction as an opportunity to prepare their next attack. "It's us you're facing, Kael," Cesar shouted, trying to grab his attention. Kael, with an expression of absolute disdain, turned around and looked at Cesar. Facing? You insects haven't even served as a warm-up, he mocked. Following this, he activated his black fiery aura, saying with a voice charged with power, "Black fire." He stretched out his arms and concentrated his aura into a sphere that began to compress to a critical point. He fired it with terrifying force. The impact generated a whirlwind of black flames that hit Cesar and Bruno head-on, sending them flying from the force of the explosion. Not just them, the shockwave affected Moon executives and guild adapters alike. Kael didn't even look at the result. He turned his head toward the sky, where Augusto floated. "Today, I'm going to finish settling scores," he sentenced, his voice echoing with the promise of final destruction. Augusto Orion descended from the sky, maintaining his radiant aura, not just to fight but to tip the scales of morale in his favor. His presence was a beacon of hope. Baltazar, for his part, remained fired up. "Those two aren't going to overshadow me," he growled, unleashing more lightning aura, searching for a worthy opponent now that Orion was in action. 3 Moon executives joined together to stop him with consecutive attacks, but they only managed to make him happy. "Keep them coming." Baltazar laughed, ready for more. Augusto landed in front of Kael, his voice firm. "This ends now." Without waiting for a reply, he launched a light aura attack, Dawn Light. From his hands emerged a stream of pure white energy, a concentrated torrent of light projected toward Kael, not just as an explosion but as a penetrating discharge designed to disintegrate darkness. Kael, however, responded with his own ferocity. "Dark flame!" he bellowed, and a spiral of dense, voracious black fire launched to meet it. The two attacks clashed in the center of the battlefield, emitting a powerful wave of power that everyone felt, adapters and executives alike. The earth shook, the air vibrated, and for an instant, everything stopped. After the impact, Augusto and Kael stood watching each other, the tension palpable. Kael, without a word, formed 2 short swords of condensed black aura in his hands, called Swift Shadow. Augusto, for his part, condensed his light aura, creating a resplendent spear he called Celestial Light. The 2 S-Class, the Sun and the Shadow, lunged at each other, initiating a close-quarters battle that would define the fate of Orion Manor. The close-range clash between Augusto Orion and Kael was not refined fencing, but a brutal collision of elemental forces. Augusto's Celestial Light and Kael's Swift Shadows met again and again, each impact releasing flashes of pure energy and explosions of black fire. Augusto moved with imperial grace, his light spear piercing Kael's defenses with the precision of a lightning bolt, seeking to disintegrate his opponent's dark essence. Kael responded with savage fury, his 2 short swords launching rapid horizontal and vertical slashes that created a whirlwind of burning shadows. The intense heat of the black fire fought against the absolute cold of Augusto's aura, causing the air around them to fluctuate violently between extremes. Each clash of their weapons sent seismic shockwaves through the battlefield. Executives and adapters who were not focused on their own fight were thrown to the ground or forced to use their aura to stay steady. Even Baltazar, absorbed in his fight against the 3 executives, had to concentrate his lightning into a defensive shield to avoid being swept away by the power waves. Cesar and Bruno, barely conscious and with serious injuries from the previous explosion, watched the battle helplessly. They tried to get up, channeling the little aura they had left, but the pressure of the S-Class battle was too much. They felt like mere spectators before a hurricane of power. They understood that their strength was not enough to intervene at that level. Meanwhile, Diana and Adrian, operating with impeccable coordination, began to control the situation around the power vortex. Diana, using her aquatic aura, created water channels that mitigated the dust and heat from the impacts, allowing for clearer vision and protecting the wounded. Her shields became larger and more resistant, deflecting attacks from executives trying to take advantage of the chaos. Adrian, with his regained speed, moved between the lines, using his earth abilities to create small embankments that offered cover to his allies and forced the executives to regroup, breaking the Moon faction's attack formation. Between Augusto's power in the center and Diana and Adrian's coordination on the perimeter, the tide of battle began to turn. The hand-to-hand combat between Augusto Orion and Kael escalated to a catastrophic level. It was not just a duel of swords and spear, but an attempt by the auras to cancel each other out. Kael, feeling pressured by the relentless offensive of the Celestial Light, resorted to his innate ferocity. He spun his body and used one of his swords to slash the ground at his feet. From the newly opened fissures, a controlled wave of black flames erupted, spreading like a fiery swamp, attempting to surround and trap Augusto. Augusto, however, did not let his opponent dictate the terrain. In a swift move, he drove the tip of his celestial light spear into the center of the black flame formation. A shockwave of pure white light exploded from the point of contact, instantly dissipating the dark fire and momentarily blinding Kael with a painful glare. Kael's momentary blindness was the trigger for the rest of the battlefield. Balthazar, who had been laughing while dodging and striking his 3 executives, seized the moment of shock. With an electric shout, he unleashed a final blast, chain lightning. The 3 executives, already at their limit, were hit by a series of discharges that left them smoking and unconscious. Finishing his task, Balthazar cast a look of disdain at the fallen before noticing the battered bodies of Cesar and Bruno. With a grunt, he headed toward them to provide aid, recognizing the courage of their sacrifice. Adrian and Diana moved with tactical precision. Augusto's shockwave had disoriented the executives who hadn't been paralyzed by the paralyzing flash. Diana extended a cold aquatic mist veil to cover the area where the lower-ranked combatants were, protecting them from the side effects of the S-class battle. Adrian, using his earth skills, raised small rock cages around the paralyzed executives, completely neutralizing their threat and freeing up more adapters to join the defense line. Their coordination had allowed the Dawn, despite the casualties, to begin regaining total control of the perimeter. Meanwhile, Kael regained his vision, but his fury had tripled. Augusto's attack had not only damaged him but had wounded his pride. The flames of Hephaestus began to manifest again around him, taller and more voracious than ever,